Hi everyone! It's time to talk about some misspelled words. Alright, there are a lot of words in the English language that people get confused. And it's fair. Words are hard. I freely admit that words are hard. My friends and I have taken to saying we words well because it's horrible grammar, and honestly it sums up the feeling really well. I wanted to put together a video of a bunch of different commonly misused or misspelled words. So, shall we begin? Further versus farther. So the difference here is the U or the A, and this one took me a long time to master. Okay, so further is referring to a concept or an abstract thing. So if you were going to discuss something further, that's when you would use further. But if you were walking down the hall and you wanted to walk farther, you would be going a distance. And that's the difference of when you would use the A versus the U. Affect versus effect. Affect with an A is a verb. It's an influencing word, so for example, the weather affects me, I get sad. Like, that sort of thing, that you can be affected by something with an A, but there's so then cause and effect. Effect is the noun, which is what happened because something was affected with an A. Wonder versus wander. This is something I see on the internet all the time, especially on social media, and it drives me crazy. So I'm gonna talk about it here. Wander versus wonder. If I'm wandering, I'm probably outside, walking around without a clue where I'm going, right? I'm lost. I'm wandering through a field. But if I'm wondering, then I'm probably sitting somewhere thinking and wondering about the nature of life and my place in the world. And okay, you can wonder about other things, but you get the idea? Wander versus wonder. You don't wonder on a journey, you wander on a journey. It's versus its. One of these is a contraction, which is two words put together. So it is versus this thing belongs to it. So give the dog its bone. The bone belongs to the dog, and therefore it is its bone. However, if you're saying it is the bone, you could say it's the bone with an apostrophe, and those get confused all the time, and autocorrect is not your friend, especially in that instance. It will always correct it incorrectly. Never trust autocorrect. At least not for that word. Stationary versus stationary. Okay, this one you can't hear the difference when speaking. So one of them, the one with an A, stationary, is talking about the location of something and how it's not moving. So, for example, this TARDIS, if it was sitting on my desk, would be stationary, because it's not moving. Meanwhile, you could buy this paper at a stationery store with an E. Accept versus accept. So this is the case of if someone were going to give me a candy bar, I could accept it from them with an A. This is the thing where it's receiving something. To accept something is to exclude it. So I want everything except this TARDIS. That's a lie. I would love to have a TARDIS. But you get the idea? Illusion versus illusion. An illusion with an I is like a magic trick. You can't see it, it's there, and then it's gone. Poof. Illusion. That wasn't an illusion, but you know what I mean. And an allusion is a literary device in which a writer references another work. Another really well-known work. And it's something that I could start talking about Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn, and most of you would probably know that I'm talking about a work written by Mark Twain, and therefore I wouldn't have to necessarily say Mark Twain's characters, Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn, because I would have been alluding to it and you would know what I'm talking about. Breath versus breathe. Okay, this one is an easy one because the hard E sound, the E, the breathe, there's an E on the end of that word. To breathe is to breathe in and out, as you can, yeah, that's to breathe. Whereas breath is, she took in a deep breath. she has to take in a breath in order to breathe. This is another one that I've seen misused on the internet a lot, and it makes it very difficult. Also, because I just said a lot, there's a really fun webcomic called Hyperbole and a Half, in which this creator created a creature called the Allot, because she got so annoyed with people misusing a lot. So if you want to, you can go look up Hyperbole and a Half's Allot, because it makes that particular word make a lot of sense. So that one, there should always be a space, unless you have two L's, in which case it's like, this is my allotment. So you're giving somebody or a group of people a specific set and number of things, but that's very different than giving someone a lot of something. Complement versus complement. Complement with an E is something that goes with something else. Those couch cushions really complement the couch because the colors are really complementary. Whereas if you are telling someone that you really love their hair, then it would be a compliment that you're giving them. Desert versus dessert. Okay, this is a fun time because you can find comics somewhere on the internet, I'm sure, of someone having created a dessert island in which it's like ice cream and brownies and popsicles and all sorts of other yummy sugary things because they're riffing on this rather than having a desert island, which is like sand and nothing else. 1S versus 2. You gotta learn the difference because one of them is talking about food and one of them is talking about a heck of a lot of really dry sand. Illicit versus illicit. To elicit something is to call forth from people. So you can have a teacher elicit a response from the students, or you can be engaged in illicit activities like selling drugs. Please don't be engaged in illicit activities. Nobody should want that from you. Okay, lose versus loose. This shirt is very loose-fitting. See what I did there? However, I threw my Twix bar earlier and now I've lost it. Someone should have told me, don't lose your Twix bar. Past versus past. If you're driving past something and it's distance, or you're like if I threw this pen, it could go past my head, and that would be P-A-S-S-E-D, because it passed me. However, if I had thrown this, now I've thrown it in the past, in P-A-S-T. That is referring to time. Yeah, that's referring to a specific time in the past. So, what happened before now would be in the past. In history, you don't drive past something and spell it with an A-S-T. That's not... No. You can have driven past something in the past. Peak, peak, and peak. Alright, here we go. One of them is a mountain peak. That's E-A-K. Or you can peek at something. That's E-E-K. You're like peeking through a hole. Or you can get someone really excited about something. You can pique their interest. And that's with an I-Q-U-E. Yeah, English is a weird language. Sight, sight, and sight. Alright, we're gonna start with sight as in I can see with my eyes. I have sight. Okay, that's that one. You can cite a source. So a citation, that's with a C. Or you can go to a website. Or a building site, like a location. Than versus then. Alright. So with this one, then, with an E, is a time statement, so I'm going to do this then. Versus, I would rather do this than this. One of them is a comparison, one of them is a reference to a place and time. Your versus your. Okay. Another one that the internet gets wrong all the time. One of them is a contraction, you are. One of them is a possessive, this is your dog. This is your TARDIS, except it's my TARDIS, so hands off. Add versus add, because one of them is a mathematical equation to add something. The other one is to run an advertisement. Advice versus advise. Here we go. If you have an advisor, you have someone who gives you advice. Advice itself is an opinion or a suggestion on what you should do. The person giving that advice, giving that suggestion, is the advisor. And you can ask someone for advice by saying, please advise. Lastly, let's talk about British spelling versus American spelling. You'll see this on the internet too because we live in a very global world. Favorite versus favorite, color versus color, towards versus toward, forwards versus forward, backwards versus backward. That's where we get confused with those particular words. It's not that either is it technically incorrect, because it is a way to spell the word. It's just not the American way to spell the word or the British way to spell the word. And depending on where you're trying to get published and where you're writing, that's going to change how you should spell those words because you want to write to your audience. I hope this helped. If you have any other words that you would like me to cover in a future video like this, let me know, and I will do another video. So, thanks! Also, chat with me in the comments. I would love to hear from you. Until next time, I'll see you then. Bye! Ooh, also, like and subscribe for more videos like this.